So thank you, Tsuyoshi, Bioethics and Eugenics. Thank you, Tsuyoshi.
Nice start.
Yeah.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tsuyoshi. I'm currently in the doctoral program of social science at Hitotsubashi University, and also I do some job in the teaching assistant at my university. I'm also the research fellow at AUSN, and for the past few years I lived in the Phoenix, US, and also Mexico for the collaborative research and project. So I'm very happy to be here. And just to introduce a little bit about my background, I studied social work and human science when I was at the university in Waseda at Tokyo. And after I finished my bachelor degree in human science, I'm studying sociology and medical sociology at Hitotsubashi University. And then I moved to Europe. I joined the Erasmus Mundus program in the field of bioethics and law. So I studied in Belgium, Netherlands, and Italy, in these three countries for another master. And after that, I got the funding from the Japanese government. Then I closely worked with Dow on a research project in North America, in the US and Mexico. And 2 years ago, I came back to Japan, and now I'm writing my dissertation and doing teaching stuff. So today I will talk about the bioethics and eugenics, and particularly focusing on the ethics in human reproduction, such as donor insemination, IVF, and surrogacy, and what's going on in my country in the field of bioethics. And I want to share with you the current situation regarding bioethics and human reproductive technologies in Japan. This is a brief overview outline of my presentation. And first I'm explaining the bioethics in Japan, state of bioethics in Japan, and next I'm explaining the sterilization under the eugenics protection law. It's already over, but we have a very bad, dark history of the human reproduction not so long time ago. And next I want to examine some types of ART or assisted reproductive technology and medicine. And lastly, I want to discuss the ethical issues regarding the reproductive technology, particularly the donor insemination. So what is bioethics? Well, the term bioethics is translated into my language in Japanese as seimei-rinri. You can see the 4 Chinese characters here. It's pronounced seimei-rinri. And seimei is the first 2 Chinese characters, means bio or life. And rinri means ethics, ethos. So the seimei-rinri can mean bioethics or life ethics. So bioethics has 2 terms in my language. And it was started around the 1980s. At that time, some Japanese professor went to the US to study bioethics, and later it was imported into Japan. And the Japanese bioethics was very influenced by the US-born medical ethics by the 4 principle-based approach, namely, as you probably know, the autonomy, beneficence, non-maleficence, and justice. And at that time, when the bioethics came into Japan, we had a difficulty because 4 of these principles quite hard to translate into Japanese or into the Chinese character. So we didn't have the language or phrases for those words: autonomy, beneficence, non-maleficence, and justice. So still we are under development. We are not sure exactly how these four principles should be translated into my language. So after, I think after hearing the presentation by Alina, I think you interpret these principles as, for example, for autonomy, is that the love of self. The Daro also mentioned in his presentation. So autonomy can be understood easily as love of self, and non-maleficence can be love of others, and beneficence. What do you interpret beneficence? Love of self.
Well, autonomy is actually self-rule. And self-love is slightly different. Beneficence is loving good, non-maleficence loving life, justice loving others.
So I think this word, or also the bioethics itself, can be interpreted in many ways. But sometimes, especially in my country, especially the term autonomy, this idea has been criticized because I think not only in Japan but also in many parts of the Asian countries, the family, for example, is highly regarded. Family is very influential in ethical decision making, and some people even said that family autonomy or family value can be more important than self-autonomy. So we still have the contentious discussion on to what extent the autonomy should be respected when we make a decision. So in any case, the bioethics evolved today. Many people in a wide range of issues about human life, health, welfare, and death in this age of biomedical development. Next. So now I will briefly introduce what we call the Eugenics protection law. This was enacted after the war in 1948, and it lasted until 1996. So not so long time ago, we had a Eugenics protection law, and under this law, this was made to prevent the birth of people with certain disease, certain genetic disease, or what we call the Hansen's disease, the leprosy or Hansen's disease. So to prevent the birth of people who have these diseases or disorders, actually a number of women have been forced into sterilization under the eugenic protection law in my country. And from today's standpoint, it is against the women's autonomy and women's will. And today, a number of women who have been deprived of their autonomy and dignity now ask the government for the compensation, but it's not well recognized by the government. So no compensation has not yet been made by the government. But I think it's important to know what's happened in the past under the eugenic protection law in my country. And I hope in the near future the government acknowledge recognize what's happened under this law and certain compensation for those who lost their dignity and autonomy at that time. Yes. So now, as you probably know, we have a lot of assisted reproductive technologies, and basically I think when we say ART or assisted reproductive technology, there are three types. One is the DI, what we call DI, or donor insemination. And this technology was first performed in my country in 1948 at Keio University Hospital in Tokyo. You know, DI is a technique for infertile couple to give a baby using somebody's sperm, donor's sperm or eggs. And later in my country, DI was confirmed by the Japan Society of Obstetrics and Gynecology, or JSOG. So since I think since 2000, is the use of eggs, sperms, or embryo has been confirmed. Of course, under some condition, people can use to have a baby and to build a new family, particularly for the infertile couple when they have a certain disease or problem in health. The another type is what we well known as IVF, or in vitro fertilization. And in Japan, the first IVF baby was born in 1983, and surprisingly, today more than 100 of babies were born through this technique of IVF. And so far, about 18,000 babies, children, have been born through IVF in my country. And last technique of ART would be surrogacy. And in my country, surrogacy is banned by the Japan Society of Obstetrics and Gynecology. But as you may often hear in the news or media, some couple go to other South Asian countries like Thailand or India to use the surrogacy to ask for the surrogate mother to build it. I heard recently, I think this year or last year in India, surrogacy was banned by the Indian government. So now I think it's only allowed in the case of India. It's only allowed for Indian people. So not the foreign citizen cannot go to India to perform the surrogacy, as I understand. But unfortunately, since it's banned in my country, some infertile couple try to go to Thailand or other Southeast Asian countries, and a lot of news and cases are reported in the media and news. So now I will move on to some of the voices of donor-conceived offspring of children who are actually born through this technology, because I was always wondering how the children grow up, how the fact that he or she is born through those techniques see themselves, because I thought it may affect their identity, for example, especially in the case of donor insemination. Basically, we have the two fathers. One is the genetically related fathers or donors. The other is legal fathers. So for those children who are born through donor insemination, I was always wondering how they see their parents, or how they see their father. Who is their father? The blood-related father or legal father? So for the past few years, I tried to interview those who are actually born through donor insemination. So here is a voice of one of them. This is an interesting case So I interviewed one person who was aged 30 years old, and he knew that he was a donor conceived when he was a medical student, and when he was in 25 or 20 something, he took by accident, he took a medical sample, the blood, he had a blood test as part of the medical practice in his medical school, and he found out that his blood, he was not genetically related to his father, and he was quite shocked after he found out that he had another father, the donor. So he's now looking for his donor, who is his genetically related father. And he said when I interviewed, why had my parents kept such important information secret for many years? Because he knew the truth of his origin when he was 20, 25 or something. So he was quite upset. Why had my parents kept such a very important information secret for more than 20 years? Why is that? So I want to know the donor. If possible, I just want to discover the missing pieces of myself. That's what he said. And it's this has a lot of issues, and one is that in my country, the parents who use such technology quite often hesitate to reveal the information to their children because they wonder that information may affect the development of the children. They often, in many cases, they do not want to reveal such information to their children because it may, it would be very shocking to them, to children. But from the children's perspective, they always, in the interview, they said they wanted to know the information, who is donor and what the donor is doing now, as early as possible, so that they could have a good relationship both with the parents and also donors. But it's often the case in my country that those children are missing the information about the donor. That's why this recently is a very hot topic. And the next case is this is a case of a woman, 46 years old, and she knew, in her case, she knew that she was donor conceived when she was 30s. And after her parents got divorced, her mother told her that she had actually another donor, the real father. So she was quite disappointed after hearing the truth of her origin, genetic background. And she said, I didn't know whether to talk about this to my friend or not, and felt isolation. I wanted to know about donor and donor conception before I made choices for life event. So in her case, she already made a lot of choices. She got married, she got a job, and after graduating university, and she is now 46 years old. But she said if she knew the fact about her origin before making these choices for life event, her past life might have been changed. I mean, if she knew the donor before she got married, her life might have been changed. So she now doesn't know whether the choices that she made was okay or not. So no matter how much love you paid to your children, the process to rebuild self-identity, which was lost in donor insemination disclosure, is extremely difficult, she said. I don't know, I do not want to have more people feeling the same way as me. So she's now has trouble with her parents, and she's not getting well with her parents and relatives, and she feels sort of isolation because of this fact. So she said, now the relationship between her and her mother is not quite good, but she doesn't know whether to talk the secret to my close friend or not. So it's very, she tried to hide the complex feeling inside. So it's very, she said it's quite difficult to rebuild the good relationship with her parents. Okay? So from the perspective of bioethical principle, especially autonomy, what can we say in these cases that I brought up? Autonomy and individual responsibility. So according to the Article 5, the Universal Declaration on Bioethics and Human Rights, the UNESCO just adopted in 2005, the autonomy of persons to make decisions while taking responsibility for those decisions and respecting the autonomy of others is to be respected. So what I think is important in this article is that one's autonomy, as well as the autonomy of others, it should equally be respected. So of course we say the autonomy of patients, the autonomy to make choices should be respected, but at the same time, the autonomy of others needs to be respected. So in applying this idea into the context of reproduction, autonomy of couple, autonomy of infertile couple who use the donor insemination or IVF should be respected, but at the same time, the autonomy of children thereby produced should also be respected equally. So not only the couple, but also children or those individuals who are actually born through this technology should be respected, the welfare and health of the people. So that's I think is important in this article. Next. So regarding the ethics of human reproduction, these are just a question I want you to think about. So number one, how should the interest of various parties which are involved in assisted reproduction, such as donor insemination, be balanced? Of course, we all have different interests. In the case of the donor insemination, the children may want to know about the donor, what he or she is doing now, what's the occupation of the donor. That from the children's perspective, that's the interest. But from maybe for example, from the donor's perspective, sometimes donor doesn't want to share the information to the children, or from the doctor's perspective, sometimes some also argue that the privacy of the donor need to be kept inside the hospital. and shouldn't be revealed to the children. So we all have different interests, but in the case of reproduction, how should those interests be balanced? That I think one of the things to think about. Second point is, what role should the government, health and social care professional play in the private domain of the family? So some people may think that such some people may think that this kind of thing should totally be up to each family. So as the government or health professional shouldn't intervene the decision making. But when it comes to the reproduction, particularly donor insemination, since it involved the donor, the couple, doctors and medical professionals, and also importantly children who are born through these technologies, to what extent should we disclose the information of the donor? That's one question to think about. Unfortunately, in my country of Japan, we don't have any law regarding the donor insemination. I mean, the protecting the rights of children. But I know that in some countries, rights of children to know the background of their origins be respected. I mean, for example, as far as I know, for example, in the UK, at the age of 18, children can choose whether they want to have the information about the donor. But such law doesn't exist in Japan, so it seems to me that it's quite impossible at this time for children to know the information about the donor. So, yes, the last, I think, in conclusion, even though the reproduction, human reproduction and medicine and technology are rampant today around the world, no compensation has been made to women who were once forced into sterilization, being deprived of autonomy in Japan. And ethical questions which arise from the development of assisted human reproduction need to be better addressed in the field of bioethics, with the full consideration of welfare and health of all those who are involved in the technique and medicine. So that's the, I think, yes, the end of my talk. So if you have any question, I'm quite happy to.
Yes.
Okay, questions, John, please. Thank you very much, Tsuyoshi. Nahi first, please. Nahi?
Okay, so thank you very much for your informative presentation. Especially this is very immersive and sweet. Just I have one question. So already you shown the Declaration of Bioethics, maybe Universal Declaration 2005. Do you have any policies on the basis of this declaration? Because we need a comprehensive, comprehensive guidelines to manage all reproductions and create a sound environment, balanced society. Okay, so do you have any type of policies or programs or strategy mechanisms to regulate these issues, human reproduction in Japan? I know, you shared with us, there is no law to control the issue.
Right.
In consistency with ethics, bioethics concept. Do you have any policies or strategy
We have the government recommendation, or
Yes.
as you said, guidelines.
Guidelines,
So
yes.
it's not the legally binding.
Yes.
We have a government recommendation by the Ministry of Health.
Health,
And also we have it's only the guideline by the, for example, by the Japanese Society of
Japan.
Gynecology and Obstetrics, but it's not, since it's not legally binding.
Legally binding.
It's
Because you
not
know,
legal.
universal declaration of bioethics. This is a universal, but there is no enforceable policies.
Right.
In our country, at first, government should enact any law on the basis of international declaration or treaties. On the basis of it, and government should insert these policies in the national domestic laws. So, universal declaration is not applicable in our country also. But state is responsible to incorporate the policies of universal declaration. So, do you have any type of policies in consistence with the Universal Declaration of Bioethics 2005?
Right.
Yes.
So since
Your
then,
guidelines is in consistence?
yes, since 2005,
Fine.
after the UNESCO made the declaration,
Very
the
good.
government and some policy makers
Yes.
trying
Trying
to
to.
create
Yeah.
the policy and law. But as of now, I'm afraid we don't have
Okay, no
any.
problem. Maybe in future they will formulate some policies or regulations
Yes.
regarding this issue to control the reproduction.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for your question.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay. So, in case of donor inseminations, is it had to take the semen from two different persons, the genetic and the legal? Cannot it be done from one person's, the legal person's? It can be done from one, or it is always had to take from two different persons?
No, in the case of donor insemination, the donor is one person.
Yeah,
The-
one
yes,
person.
From the
Yeah.
sperm use, the infertile couple
Yeah.
try to ask for help for the donor.
So it's not for always.
Hmm?
Is it have to take the semen from two different persons always, or
Always from somebody else.
somebody else
Yes.
always? Can it be done from one person's by securing it 2 to 3 times?
The one person,
Yeah.
donor can help the infertile couple by having a lot of sperms. Is that your question? Or
No, actually donor is the one person.
Yeah,
Yes.
Always one, not the 2%.
Yeah.
In the old days, sometimes they
yes.
used to mix
Yeah.
the semen so that the offspring never knew.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that's
It's from
not,
donor.
not
Okay,
practiced
thank you.
now.
Thank
yes.
you.
Thank you. Yes, please.
You mentioned disclosure. In Australia, after the potential parents are being educated and so that they can, if they sign anything, it's with informed consent because they realised and they were taught exactly what was going on. They also sign that they will give disclosure to their offspring.
When they use the
They agree before RBF that they will let their child or children know their origins.
that's sort of
Yeah. That's
informed
part of the
consent,
bargain. That's part of the bargain of being in a clinic and getting that treatment.
which I think is important.
Very important, yeah.
But
For
unfortunately,
parents and for the offspring, yeah.
yes, but the informed consent doesn't exist, unfortunately, in my country.
It will change.
Right. So
It'll take
I strongly hope that in the near future, all people should sign the consent form by saying the after.
So it's important from the psychological perspectives that you were talking about, but also from a genetic perspective of genetic vulnerability, identification of
Yes.
any making any mutations or anything.
Well, I totally agree with you. So, yes. Alex,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Actually, identification is very important. It is, I think, it is right to know who is the father.
Right.
It is right.
Right.
And we have come from a Islamic country. In our Islam, in our religion, it is there is no if non-disclosure to the child the real father, it is deception according to our religion. And that's why the adaptation of the child is not available in Islamic country. In Quran specifically say you have to tell who is the real father. If you don't say, it is a deception. So adoption there is a rearing up of a baby child is accepted in our religion. The child know that he is his or her father, but like the probably other religion, there is a adoption system, and they can carry the name of the father from the legal father.
Right.
So, but in Islamic country, there is this is not happening. There is no option to take the legal father's name because it is explicitly said in the Quran. It is deception. You have to tell who is the father. And I think Feroja can say anything about this.
I'd like to say not about this, about another thing. Okay, I know that in Japan it's very easy to have the analysis on genome characteristics. For example, many people they can do this analysis very fast. And what about to know some predisposed to any hereditary diseases, for example?
Oh, yes.
And what about, is this information about biodiatas or the genetic predisposed open for administration? Who can limit it, yes, of their work or any other reactions? What is your people under the protection of any law in your country in this regard?
No, at this moment, as I said, no law regarding the protection of the children, their rights.
Not only children, I mean the protection of biodatas.
Data.
Biological datas.
That's a really hot topic nowadays. And no, we don't have law or any regulation.
DNA characteristics. This is
yeah, who owns the information, the genetic information, and who to provide the data and what kind of information the donor should provide to the children, the occupation, age, the gender, sex, and what's the nationality, what kind of information should be disclosed. That's also the important aspect.
But you do have guidelines, right?
Guidelines, yes, we do have guidelines. It's only said the welfare and health of children should be respected, but not in detail. So,
Okay, can I ask you one question?
Yes.
What I heard from my colleagues in Japan, even though in Japan it's only guideline, our country might be an act, but the people in Japan are somehow respect the guideline, they follow the guideline. Is it really true?
yes.
Is it really true? Not
Although it's
not many.
not legally binding.
something like legal. Even though it's not legal, but people respect it as if it is legal, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a very good culture. Japan doesn't need an act actually.
Yes.
They don't need a regulation. They only need a voluntary guideline. But our country, I think, cannot.
Yeah.
Our country need an act or a regulation. Even that, I'm not sure. As Firuza said, even they have an act, but it doesn't work, right? Regulation. But in Japan, they only have guideline and it works. So amazing, right? We can learn a little bit more from Japan. Yeah.
Because they respect the regulation or guidelines, but we need act plus implementation of that and strategy mechanisms of that also.
Yeah, maybe
in
can
our
learn,
country,
can learn
Bangladesh.
from
Yeah,
Japan.
so the regulations can vary depending on the country and depending on religion and culture. And for example, in New Zealand, I know where you originally come from, the children have a right to know about the background.
Yes, in New Zealand, at the age of 18, the children have a right to know the name of the genetic donors of their mother and father. For example, both if they have donated eggs, it's also the same. And usually on the birth certificate in New Zealand, in the full form, in the past, the occupation of a father was asked, but not of a mother, because it was a sexist view that women would not be working. And I will show you later an example of that. And in the marriage certificates in English culture also the occupation is usually listed as well for both man and woman. And so Sweden, I think, was the country which had the first law to inform children of donor insemination, give them the right. Then New Zealand followed, and England in the Reproduction Act in 1990, Human Fertilization Embryology Act, it didn't say that children have a right to know, but it said that the record must be preserved. But the thinking of keeping that in the law was that eventually over time the law may evolve so that children will have a right to know. But at least by having that, it was implicit in the discussions in England that you keep that information in the record, and then a later act of Parliament is required, or later law, to say that children have a right to know. But at least they kept the information there from that time. In 1990 there were much discussions that children probably do have a right to know, but they didn't go as far as to say children have a right to know. They said that the information must be kept. So the records must be kept. You can't hide your records.
There's another little aspect, can I?
Yes.
About that the father, the genetic father, in a situation when the child is born, the adoptive father has to legally adopt the child, otherwise the child could be stateless when it's born in some places, because a donor sperm is different from a child who's going to be brought up by another man, for example. And so that I'm not sure which countries it was in, but there was a legal difficulty of children being stateless, where it was necessary to have both parents documented as being the parents. And if one of them, is just a donor, there is not enough information. Yeah, it makes it very complicated. It's very much like if a woman gets pregnant by accident by someone, and unless when the child is born, unless the child has been registered as being born, it would be stateless. And in some countries they may not accept extra population. So it makes it very difficult. There's thousands of these very difficult situations.
Right.
I mean, biology moves ahead, and then behind is the administration, and there's this big time gap.
Yes, that's true. It's what's happening to my country.
It's a good right to know it, but also legally knowing that it's documented is two different aspects of the same thing.
Yes, that's true.
Any other comments?
I'd like to ask you, Tsuyoshi,
Yes.
you're mentioning about eugenics, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay, imagine that you are the one who's born as a eugenic. Probably your mother or parent choose you to have all the perfect criteria. You think as the baby, as a child, and when you grow up, you will be happy, no? You are very perfect, maybe probably all around you, not as perfect as you. You think you will be happy, no? Probably the super one, selected one. You think you will be very happy? Think of yourself as the eugenic baby.
Okay, so for my talk today, I didn't cover much about the eugenics part, but since it's also related to the
Never mind, just imagine yourself.
yeah,
Imagine. Yes, I want to hear your yes.
I'm happy now to have a feedback.
Oh, that's what you think. Okay.
Wonderful discussion. I'm always happy to receive comment and feedback.
Now, she said, imagine yourselves as a, yeah. So, will you be happy?
If
you are product of this,
Yeah. Will you be happy?
I don't know.
how you take the things that depends.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel. Because I'm not in this situation.
Just imagine.
Imagine
Okay.
it's quite difficult to.
Yeah.
So imagining unimaginable things.
Well, I'd be happy to be alive.
That's a nice answer. A perfect nice answer.
More than enough to be alive.
Yes, I would probably accept the reality. I would probably accept what's happened to me.
Yeah.
The life. Even if I'm born this way, I may try to
Live
do
happy.
my best to accept my genetic background. Yeah.
It's like with adoption, isn't it? Because the parents say, if you have normal reproduction, it's a random fertilization, but we chose you. It was a choice. So that makes it positive. And maybe you can say the same thing. I chose IVF.
Well, how would you feel if more than half, the majority of cells in your body are not human being? How would you feel?
I would probably feel it's not my, it's not, it's artificially made body.
Okay, well, could you stand up if more than half of the cells in your body are not human beings? You've listened to the ecological understanding of the more cells in our body are not Homo sapien cells, they are microbial cells. So half the body, I don't know if this is half of the bottom,
This side.
this side.
This
Probably a moment.
So more cells in our body are
So
not
the
human.
Homo sapiens only
We have thousands of
intellectual,
species
or
in our
what? The
body.
forms of skill and bones.
Yes, you can.
For those, stand up if you think you've got Neanderthals genes.
Pardon?
Yeah.
Do you have
If you-
Neanderthal
Do you
genes?
have? Do you have or no?
Do you have?
Stand up if
If you've got Neanderthal genes.
How do I know?
If you have. Yes, of course, all of us have.
Yeah, all of us had.
You could all go down.
Well, all of you stand up, okay.
We're all Neanderthals. Neanderthals at the end. And in fact, we're all bacteria at the end. All bacteria and then human beings. So interrelatedness of life is important. But our origins are therefore sometimes mysterious. But still we want a genealogy. And in many indigenous cultures, a genealogy is critical. That's why it can be a very big shock. But what's interesting is many indigenous cultures adopted people who are not blood related into their family wholeheartedly. And we see this. So in fact, although the genes are important, the social relationships and the sense of love are even more important. And that's an interesting lesson, because still the truthfulness of genealogy is important, but there's many intercultural adoptions. And these were happening with, for example, Ainu families adopted Japanese babies wholeheartedly. And same happens in North America, South America, where you have people who are adopted as full members of the family, even though genetically they are quite distinct. So our identity is quite an interesting bioethics question. One of the things for this third or fourth PhD in the future. Any other comments or questions?
No.
Thank you, Tsuyoshi.
Thank you.
Thank you.